Hi guys, Omkar here. I'm making this video just to tell you a few points that a rider should keep in mind before he actually goes ahead and buys the Thunderbird 500. Now these points are my viewpoints and I would just like to make a short video telling you people about what you should keep in mind before you go ahead with this bike. I have listed down 5 points here which I feel a rider who is about to buy this bike should know, and I would want to share this with you all. First of all, let me start off with the weight. Yes, we all know that the Thunderbird 500 or any Royal Enfield bike for that matter weighs a lot. Now this bike weighs 192 kilos dry. That is something that a rider should keep in mind. Now when a rider realizes this is when he actually goes into the market or finds himself in a tight parking spot with a slight inclination towards inside. This bike actually becomes very difficult to maneuver in and around that spot, and pulling it out especially requires two people. And also in traffic, when you have to wait at a signal for a long time, you tend to feel the weight on your legs. This bike weighs 192 kilos dry, plus with a 20-liter fuel tank, you can expect a bike to weigh around 210 kilos easily. And with a pillion especially, it's going to be really heavy. So that is one thing that a rider should keep in mind before he buys it. And this bike cannot hide its weight at all. It actually feels like it is 220 or 240 or 290 kilos depending on the pillion. The second point I would want to mention is the cost. Now this thing costs around 2 lakh rupees, 2 lakh plus on road here in Goa, and for that much money you can get a lot of bikes in the country, especially from manufacturers like Bajaj, Yamaha, which come up with bikes which handle really well, bikes which cost much less. You actually find yourself wondering that if it is actually worth spending 2 lakh rupees for a bike that doesn't handle that well, doesn't perform that well. Well, a person should keep in mind that when you buy a Royal Enfield, you do not buy handling or you do not buy performance. You actually invest in the brand and you buy the feel of owning such a bike. Now this bike has its own pros and cons. To say a few things: the exhaust note, the amount of torque which the bike puts out, the touring character of the bike, the easiness to maintain of the bike. These are something which a rider should keep in mind, and do not please try to compare it with the other bikes available in the market. Now for 2 lakh rupees in the touring segment, what do you have? This bike doesn't compete with anything. You have the Avenger, which is say around the 1 lakh rupee mark, but doesn't have the cruiser kind of character. The engine is shared with the Pulsar 220 and the 200. Then you have the Harley Davidson and the Aquila 650, which cost 3 times as much as this bike does. So the practicality quotient on this bike is really high. For 2 lakh rupees, I feel what you get is really bang for a buck. A fuel injected engine, double disc setup, projector headlamp assembly, 20-liter tank is everything that you would need, in a bike that when you want to take a bike for a long tour. The third thing is vibrations. Now, like all other Royal Enfields, they are known for vibrations. The Thunderbird is not left alone. There are vibrations on the Thunderbird, but these vibrations I felt were slightly different than the classic 350 or the 500. The vibrations tend to creep up after you cross the 4000 mark on the RPM meter, which I feel Royal Enfield rider never visits a lot. The vibrations are only felt on the handlebar, at least on my bike. I did not feel any vibrations on the foot pegs of the pillion or the rider or any other part of the bike for that matter. But the vibrations were felt on the handlebar after the bike crossed 4000. The vibrations were not very bad, like I didn't want to leave the handlebar or something, but yes, they were there and I could feel it every time I revved it beyond 4000 to 4500 RPM. Fourth part is the handling of the bike. As I mentioned earlier, this thing weighs 192 kilos and it is not something that is less by any means. 192 kilos is a lot. It is specially felt when you take the bike around corners or around bends. It is very difficult to hustle the bike around the twisties. You can't actually do that. You have to find a straight path between the corners and take it through there. And the third and other part regarding the handling is the skinny tires. Now as you can see here, this bike comes with 120 section rear tires and a 90 section front tire, which are pretty small by standards of the weight of the bike. Considering that it weighs plus 200 plus kilos, these tires are pretty small for the bike and they do not offer a lot of grip. The other part of the handling is when you lean the bike heavily, you find the lean angle pretty limited here. You try to lean the bike on the right side too much, you will end up scraping your exhaust, and if you try to lean it on the left side, you see you can either start scraping your foot peg or the guard. Now what I want to say here is that the handling is not bad, but if taken proper care and maneuvered properly around, it manages any curve properly. And another thing that since the tires on the bike are very skinny, if you take the bike on a turn which has some loose gravel, dust or oil on it, the front or the rear end is just gonna wipe off and you won't have any chance, mind you, any chance to control the bike. You'll find yourself on the road for surely, because one incident happened to my friend is that he was turning his classic 350 and there was oil on the road and the front end just washed away and he couldn't do anything about it. The final thing I want to mention about is the seating posture. Yes, this is a tourer. You sit pretty high up for a tourer actually, because of the massive 19-inch rear rim. The handlebars are high up and you sit in a very commanding position actually. But what I felt personally is that the seat is contoured in such a way that this part here, this part specially tends to hit your tailbone a lot, and your tailbone starts hurting maybe after 40 minutes to 1 hour of riding. That is what I personally felt. Also, what I would want to tell is that my friend also told me that you tend to get used to this posture maybe after a month or so, and the pain slightly goes away. Now these were the 5 points which I wanted to mention in this video, and I tried to clarify from my point of view as much as I could. Please stay tuned for more such videos, and as and how I come across such points or feel such points, I'll keep posting and updating this channel. So please stay around for more videos regarding the Royal Enfield Thunderbird. For now, thanks.